See if teams pick him.
He has put far too much time on the Mangachi. Where we did the recent charity match for Tip of the Hats, and you know a lot of the pros are playing off heroes, and Mangachi just plays Torbjorn. It's like this is not an off hero for him. Just wasn't.
I do think the Bren could maybe be picked up for the Overwatch League as a Torbjorn specialist if needs be. So, you know, teams we're still in the signing period. Pick up Brennan. Brennan, very good Torbjorn player.
You know what? Everyone thought he'd be joining OWL as the Bren team. Sometimes you gotta bring out the Torbjorn. But we're already getting into it here. It's gonna be LNL on the attack, and one man to watch here has got to be Sugar Free.
Yeah, it has to be Sugar Free in this dive competition, especially. Dalton is going to go on a Wright flank and set up, try to get some hacks. So, but we're going to see Gator and Sugar Free potentially dive onto this McCree.
Yeah, right now LNL setting the stage right now. A lot of pressure coming in from the backside. Sugar Free biding his time, laying in the damage, 32% ult charge, and Leafa gonna take down Ajax immediately. So this is gonna cause LNL to have to go back a little bit on the pressure. They're down Lucio, but they're still staying in. They're still pressuring Bi-Week back, and now they've heard them all to Cafe, but Sugar Free gonna fall.
Yeah, but still, you're losing so much healing with Ajax on the Lucio not being in the fight, so we see them getting poked down eventually. When you lose a member like that, I think you just have to play a lot more aggressive, try to make a play and set up with that dive. They tried to get some cap onto the point, but they didn't get a tick, so that push is just going to be negated. They are going to swap the goals, looks like.
Oh, man. And that makes sense. I mean, you do have Gator leading everything up here, and he was at the forefront of setting up style compositions.
I understand him. If you're a Reinhardt and you like to play goats, you usually just tell your team, let's just go goats, because you know that way you can't shine.
And what we're going to do here is that they're going to wrap around, go to the right-hand side, go to the back door of the Cafe, and force a positioning here out of Bi-Week. They're looking around, but LNL, they've been able to work their way around to the point. That I have here from not quite get what he's looking for. Meanwhile, LNL still very healthy. He's going to be rotating around. Gator, they wing the hammer at the point.
They actually have to catch the team here. They are pushing to disengage, and the Yara's percentage is from Pizza Demon, but they need to find more skills to fight.
And then rotate around, but Chrono Dota cleaning up with the Primal Rage, making enough space, and Bi-Week able to heal them. Ooh, the Shatter! Super aggressive, knocks down 3, gets the pick off, but the rest of his team, they were still mostly respawning there. It doesn't really seem like it was the ideal Earth Shatter.
No, but he got a pick, you know, he saw the big shatter and he tried to make a play. I understand the man didn't pay off that time, and they actually have to build quite a few ultimates. They don't have anything up for this next fight. So actually we're looking at this defending team, and they have a pretty good option as a defensive holder.
Yeah, right now they're holding back. You got the rally up. Gonna be on top right now. Out again though, Jedi looking for Dalton. Can't quite get the extra headshot, but still the defense holding strong here. Offense though, gonna drop the beat. Gonna see LNL focus on getting onto the point. Chase down immediately. Leafa under pressure, gets the beat himself. Looks for Ajax, finishes it off. But still see LNL threat.
Another
transcender, come out! Big transcender coming out here. The defense able to get right back on in. Forces out the grab, but Bi-Week not gonna be enough. Sugar Free able to get 3.
And that was pretty surprising actually. They got a few picks there. But then again, the Pizza team was just spamming away on the Zenyatta, getting 2 transcendences 2 fights in a row. I mean, that just tells you how much damage he's actually doing, and I think they actually Bi-Week, they need to do a better job actually at getting down these frontline heroes so that they can't sustain.
I mean, it's interesting how much space LNL had there regarding the stay alive. But it's not bad defense here. They were able to hold quite a lot.
Oh, absolutely. I know we're going into this next fight as well. And LNL, they have the anonymous up. They're going charging aggressively with the Diva Bomb.
An advantage here for LNL. The point Gator solo does for getting 1. LNL, again, working with momentum here, getting cleanup kill after cleanup kill, and he's going to be forcing the defenders back.
Yeah, but Gator is not really back yet, so they can't really push aggressive and get a lot of good positioning. You can see all of them staying on the card right now, and that's going to allow this Bi-Week team to push out and actually get some positioning before the next fight.
Either holding on to the Shatter where, you know, trying to pick up spots to go here. Earth Shatter rating might have to be a thing. I made Jake raid Riptires, so rating Shatters might be a thing. Gator, though, holding on, looking for that Earth Shatter opportunity right now.
Oh, and they do!
Knocks down the Rhine! Early 2 pickoffs coming here from LNL off the Shatter, and that's enough. Sugar Free nano boosted, tearing through, and has a grabs it up for the next fight.
But still, Byweek, they have to sort of expect that that Shatter is going to come out. They baited out the Zarya barrier, of course, and after that, it's just free roam for the Brigitte to get the good combination with Gator's stun. So I think they have to expect that, and now they're just going to push aggressively and try to find one.
Now they have to know Gravis coming here. Oh, what a sleep! Chrono Dota caught out here. Just able to pick him off. Chrono Dota.
That's aggressive.
Can't be held up. But they get the bubble. Sugar Free going in deeper, looking for the grab. Not going to drop it here just yet. Chrono Dota get on the Gator, and it's a big turn coming in from Byweek, able to make the most of a bad situation.
Yeah, and that should be enough for this Byweek team to be able to set up their defenses. They have a lot of ultimates coming into this next fight. Usually you want to save the Shatter here and try to go more for a Graviton and D.Va bomb combo. So it comes down to Chrono Dota. Can we get this charge up on Skater and just make sure this D.Va bomb gets valid?
Grab gonna be coming out early. Byweek moving on in, trying to get the most out of
getting him
out, and they get Ajax off it, but the counter grab coming in. Chrono Dota drops the hammer, and this is looking pretty good here for Byweek. Able to keep the offense on the back line. Nothing's invested quite a bit in here. Leafa does not care. Moving in, able to get on the blind. Sugar Free still very much alive. The rally is alive. They're gonna drop the barrier, and suddenly LNL turning back the other way. Gator drops the Shatter. Doesn't get as much as he wants here. Gives so much room.
And also they use so many ultimates as well in that fight, so this is going to be a very hard hold coming into the next fight. I would like to see them actually pushing up towards the spawn here, but instead they're going to be a lot more passive. Given that the defensive Byweek team doesn't have any ultimates up, you shouldn't take full care.
My ultimate is Leafa holding back. It's not how to grab him. They were Gravitons, so Sugar Free on one side, beats the other. Leafa though, can get the grab up a little bit earlier. Just want to donate here to the D.Va. Goes up, looking for grab, gets wall, gonna grab it. Chrono Dota moving in, swinging the hammer, and that's gonna be exactly the grab that Byweek needed.
Yeah, it's a perfect grab, and then again, it comes down to not utilizing positioning as well. They stayed on the card. That just means that Aifa can get a huge Graviton just in the wall next to the card. So because you're not pushing up in that position and you're trying to make it hard for the defensive Byweek team, you get huge value from that grab.
So if you're Byweek right now, what do you have to do to neutralize Sugar Free for the next push? Because you got to know that he has grab, and they don't have a whole lot in the tank. They'll have a Transcendence, but probably not even the beat.
You can utilize the defensive matrix, of course, but that only lasts so long. So I want to see an offensive Shatter here. Try to make a play happen.
Shatter, but the grab gonna strike for Sugar Free, moving on in self-destruct.
It's you!
Up on the side, it's Shatter! It has hit from the other side, and it's bigger! Byweek able to deal with the grab, and you called it right there, reinforced. You counter with the Shatter and make it work. If you had to rate that Shatter, what would you rate it?
That was probably a solid 8 out of 10 because it was so vital. It was one of the only ultimates they had up in they had a D.Va of course as well, but the Shatter needed to be good and it was great. And leaves them with one more fight remaining on this match.
Down to the final 35 seconds here. Leafa can have another grab up for the final fight. Absolutely nothing in the tank here for LNL. Leafa now moving forward. For the grab, drops the payload, gets two, but it's a counter shot on the other end. Gator able to make room. Buys time for the beach feed drop. And we see LNL making a valiant last push here. They get down Jade. Shatter on the other end though from Byweek. Able to turn a little bit. They deal Gator, but right now they're just on the losing edge, and LNL still might be able to bring this back.
Yeah, they might be able to bring it back. Invitational goes down, and this is just looking like a completed push. Will they get time though? No, it's in overtime, so they're not going to have any spare time on the offensive push, and that can prove crucial if we go into overtime.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, of course, because what happens here is that now you have a much better win condition for Byweek, where if they can finish with 1 minute and 1 second left on the clock, you're not going to get the second attack for the LNL side, and it's certainly a change. And one thing that we didn't really mention too much in the preamble here, but it is worth noting, is that Dalton is subbing in for this LNL squad right now. It was basically a last-minute thing where LNL had a player that came down with a bit of sickness early in the day, so he's a stand-in. So there is something that LNL is working with here in terms of figuring stuff out. Just before anyone looks at it and goes, hey, Dalton's on the roster, it's like, well, not quite, but he is helping them out here today.
Yeah, and I'd say that's a pretty big boon, right? You're happy with getting Dalton into this lineup. Now, you might question the synergy, etc., experience playing with the team, but Goats is a fairly straightforward composition, so it shouldn't hurt the team too much. Now, we're seeing some interesting compositions. And while we know Dalton is really good on the hit scan, so it's going to be interesting to see what they actually pull off here on the defense.
So, one thing I'd have to say here is that we saw a lot of tank play in the last match. Certainly quite a bit in regards to Earth Shatters and grabs being traded back and forth. Did anything really stand out to you from the Reinhardt side of like, hey, this guy was doing a really good job?
I mean, Gator was the most aggressive one, and he created a lot of space for his team. I know that's a meme, but it is true. Creating space actually works. So Gator, on one hand, did a really good job initiating the fight for his team, but Chronodota had a ton of value from his Earth Shatters, especially on that final point, and that might have saved his team a lot of the time. So some credit to Chronodota, actually. Very impressive right now so far.
So, oh no, could be sitting here on the defense. Gator on the Orisa on top of the Cafe. A little bit more durable in terms of shielding, but not quite as great for mobility if you do get a hard dive on you in the Cafe.
And this comp is going to be so hard to pull off as well on the offensive team, because you cannot really contest the Junkrat and the Soldier. You see the Chronodota and Waifu trying to get up, but they can't really reach them, and Aifa is not going to get any value on this McCree when there's an Orisa shield in the way.
Yeah, no, they're just doing really well at just holding on to the Cafe, knocking people back, not giving bi-week the initiation they're looking for here. Yeah, there's a little bit of disruption. You see they reset down on the bottom floor, but they able to DMAC Waifu really early. And meanwhile, you look at Sugar Free, so much damage coming from the back, catches the baby Diva, and he's already just about built up a Junkrat tire here.
Yeah, that tire could prove crucial as well. They have to use the Nana boost though, so they're actually spending quite a lot here because Gator went down early. They get him rest back up, use the tire, and this should be enough picks to actually get a good defense off and go into the next fight.
And they got really low towards the end, but able to keep everyone alive, able to not stagger out. But the one interesting thing here as you look to the next fight is that it wasn't a total loss for the offense. They have built up some resources.
Oh, absolutely. But the question is, how are they going to use these resources? Because in many ways, the defense here with LNL, they're playing their game. They're playing with the Orisa, and they can just do exactly what they want to do. So far, we haven't really seen bi-week execute something like playing the style they want to, because they have to utilize this Brigitte and this McCree, but they can't get a lot of value with those heroes going up against an Orisa. So again, LNL, they're looking so good right now.
Offensive fight, we're going to open up here at the rally. Transcendence and Sound Barrier in reserve. Trying to deal with Gator, but Gator just sitting pretty behind his shield. Not really under too much pressure at all. Riptide out here from the defense, gets a crucial pickoff, and it actually interrupts the barrier, so there's no barrier coming in. It was perfectly timed, and the defense going to be absolutely solid. That had to be painful there for Kalyu.
Absolutely, and huge space coming out from LNL, actually winning this fight. They get good tires all around, they shut down the sound barrier. But you have to see a swap coming out here. You can't keep playing this Brigitte and McCree composition. You have to realize that it's not going to work against this Orisa composition. And I don't care if you play Goats, if you play Dive. Yeah, it seems like they're swapping Goats. So, you know, when in doubt, swap Goats.
Go Goats. You know, it's been a constant theme here, and especially in the Tier 2 scene. Certainly in latter games as you get up there towards the GM side. It's like, things aren't working. Go Goats.
Absolutely. So, but they still have to reach this team. If they just stand on this point, they're going to get spammed out by Sugar Free's Junkrat. Chronodota gets trapped, so they can't do anything about this, but they have to push forward.
Self-destruct jump back, Waifu gets 3! Gigantic! Explodes the entire Cafe, and this is what we know Waifu for. He's been one of the X Factors on bye week for 2 seasons in Contenders, and man, he has not lost a beat. That completely destroys the defense.
That actually, it looked pretty rough, I have to say. It looked rough for bye week, but then that self-destruct comes in and it just changes the entire fight, turns the tide, and they secure point A after it looked like a really rough offense to begin with. But then again, LNL, they're going to set up on the high ground. They're going to play a Hammond actually with this Junkrat and this Sombra. So interesting composition coming out. Might see some good pile drives coming in.
I feel like they're just staying on the Junkrat now just for the Rip Tire, so it's a little bit risky where Sugar Free's putting aside the future for the now, but he's about to get the tire, 98%. And for now, LNL eating a lot of damage here on top, but the Hammond's going to go in. Here comes the tire, Sugar Free creeping around the left-hand side, looking, picks up 2, and that's enough for a successful defense.
A lot of gold ultimates this game, I have to say, CP. 2 people, that's going to be enough to actually clean up on this defense. And as I said, then you're going to set up on the high ground again. Yep, that's a good pile drive. It looks good. Good replay. So, they're actually going to spot to this Doomfist now, and well, you hate to see it, you love to see it. I don't know what to tell you, CP, but the Sombra and the Doomfist is coming out.
Yeah, Sombra Doom. And you mentioned that, you mentioned that teams might not run as much in Hollywood. What makes it not as great in Hollywood? And why would they still run it?
But there's just so much high ground, right? And it's pretty hard to navigate that. But they're going to initiate with this self-destruct, and they get 2 picks of it.
Yeah, self-destruct EMP comes in. Dalton just easily went to the backhand side, drops the EMP, nothing they can do about Hawk. And, okay, that makes a lot of sense in regards to the high ground and the Doomfist here, yet they're still kind of making it work for now.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there is still a lot of choke points. So you still can get a lot of good punches off with this Doomfist. The problem is going to be escaping the enemy team. If you have an ultimate up, that's not a problem, but the uppercut doesn't really reach the same range as it does on King's Row, for example. So that's why I said that this is a, maybe not a bad, but a worse Sombra Doomfist map compared to King's Row in many ways.
LNL again setting up on the Sombra. Dalton doing all these Archie's team looping around, and oh boy, Jade stuck in the middle of nowhere. They're gonna get looped around, but while they're looking for the Brigida, Leafa able to grab two. Self-destruct coming in from Waifu, looking for anything, maybe just to clear the way. And it's finally gonna be a little bit more progress here for the offense, but as I say that, Sugar Free goes in, picks off one before falling in. What do you think about Doomfist trades here for the defense?
It doesn't really work out that well for them, I have to say. It's going to be rough playing against this McCree, but given that LNL is playing this, or sorry, Byweek is playing this Brigitte, you sort of want that Doomfist. They're going to initiate here with the non-boosted Gator Monkey, so let's see if we can get any value.
Moving on in, able to find Leafa, just chases him on down. And LNL, they've been experts here at burning a lot of time off the clock, where even though it was a good defense coming in from Byweek, LNL, they're about one fight away here.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be a very good defense, you have to say, and they have the EMP up for the next fight. So this should be a pretty clean engage, not much more to it. Just get a good EMP, initiate with the Doomfist and the Winston, and you should be able to win this fight.
Dalton, the one to watch here. We'll see how greedy he wants to be. Do you go for the Zenyatta early on and just go for the max team value? Sometimes a lot of time have been going for tanks more than anything else, but Dalton going to the back, drops
Don't get
EMP,
the Lucio.
gets stunned, but Pizza Demon still goes down. Sugar Free dove on in right after the EMP. They got the early pickoff, and Sugar Free, he's not punished. When you don't have abilities, it's so hard to deal with the Doomfist. Picks off another two. We're down to our final 10 seconds, and it's looking like Byweek is out of steam.
Yeah, that's going to be a wrap. It actually looked like a pretty good fight for Byweek because Pylyshyn did a great job at hiding with the Lucio, making sure the Sound Barrier got off after the EMP, but it's not going to be enough. Sugar Free cleaning up on the Doomfist, and that's what we know him for, CP, is that it's the Genji and the Doomfist coming out of Sugar Free.
Sugar Free, of course, for those who are wondering, it's like, who's a Sugar Free guy? He is 14 years old last I heard, 14 or 15, so he won't be able to go to the OWL for quite a while, but he was one of the most prominent players in North American contenders all year long, and he's been a joy to watch. And his Zarya actually kind of one of those secret pocket picks where he's part of the old tradition of DPS players that are miraculously actually really good Zarya players. Kind of reminds me of Sinatra in a way.
Yeah, a bit like that. If you have good tracking, you're going to enjoy playing Zarya and Tracer like Sinatra. So, Sugar Free, one of our greater talents, and it's a long matter of time before he finally gets into Overwatch League. But it is a matter of time because this guy is so skilled and has so much potential. So down the line, he will be part of the Overwatch League.
I think Sugar Free just needs to create a support group with Patafan and just be like, why weren't we born a little bit earlier?
Him and Sharp, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, just a full support group of like, we really wish we were 18 years old. But hey, you know what that means? It still means that at this level of competition, we get to follow Sugar Free's story for quite a long time. So still really fun to see. And already taking a look at what the next map might be, it's looking like we might be heading to Lijiang.
Yeah, so we might see a lot more goats. I hate to say it, CP, but we might see a lot of good goats. And that, given actually that Byweek is picking this map, Chronodota was a really good Reinhardt throughout Hollywood. So I think that this actually favors them quite well, despite the fact that Gator is on the LNL squad on the enemy team. The founder of GOATs. Can we call him the founder of GOATs, CP?
I think we can. The Reinhardt, of course, sets the pace in the GOAT setup, and he was the one running GOAT setup on Team GOATs, where you're going to have a little bit of internal strife there as Gator, at some point in the tournament, very well could be going up against his old team. And I don't know what you call that. GOATception?
GOATception. I'm on board. Let's make up some terms for this tournament, CP. We're going to have a lot of fun, so a lot of terms to be made.
This is where the memes happen. For anyone who didn't experience the weeklies or the monthlies way back in the day, you know, it was a little bit more casual and laid back than how we set things up at Contenders and Overwatch League and otherwise. You know, just gotta have some fun with it. Certainly the players are, and if the casters and viewers can as well, well, what's wrong with us?
We're actually going into Garden for this first round, though, CP. So we're not going to see the GOATs. We're going to put it on hold, and we're going to see some Dive Unleashed first. So maybe Twitch chat can rejoice about the fact. But later on, we will see some GOATs. I'll promise you that much. But we might see some Pharah and some Genjis coming out first.
Well, speaking of Pharah, is that we do have new twist of Pharah. Of course, this is running on the new build where Pharah shoots rockets a lot quicker, but a lot less splash. So Pharah is incentivized to get in enemies' faces. What do you think the new Pharah is going to be doing in competition from this point out?
I think it's a pretty good change, and it makes Pharah a lot more fun to play, at least in my mind. So I'm looking forward to see what these players can do. Obviously, you have to hit a lot more direct rockets, so the better the Pharah, the better the change is, I'd say. So Jade is going to come out with the Pharah, and actually, we're not going to see LNL countering with their own Pharah, so they have to initiate faster, and Gator just does that.
Yeah, they're going for the ground war right now. Jade needs to land rockets immediately to make this even because really, you take a look at the LNL side, they're more than willing to just win the ground war here, dive on in. But so far, both teams still have all 6 up. Gator got pretty low, Waifu got pretty low. Both teams back on up, reestablish a bit. And Gator still under so much pressure for LNL, but able to back on out. It's a good disengage, gets healed back up. Pylyshyn going in, and Jade able to get the knockup. Finds Ajax, both Lucios out of the fight. And this has been pretty even here so far, but Dogman is down, and there's no more lifeline for LNL, and yet it might not matter. Sugar Free, it's a super early anti-air blade.
I don't even know how he does it. He charged Blade so fast and just managed to win that fight. We have to give some credit to Dogman as well. Built that Nonobus really quickly. But that is what happens when you go against a Pharah. Jade puts down a lot of spam. Dogman are able to soak it up and build that Nonobus very quickly for Gator. But they might have the EMP up for the next fight. So good ultimate rotations coming in from LNL.
Oh man, gotta love it, especially. Oh, what a knockoff! Gator got knockoff 2! Take a trip down to the payment of Lijiang, and that is some nice tank play coming in from Gator.
He does not only play the Reinhardt, he also plays the Winston as main tanks too, and proving to have very good mechanics with his Primal Rage. So credit where credit is due.
Oh man, Gator. I'm just gonna call him Serious Gator because I always think back to the old coach of Overwatch, Raffle Gator. It's like, no, there's no laughing here, especially when you're on the receiving end of that. Just pain.
Oh, Gator is serious. He's serious business. So they have the EMP up here as well. Let's see if they can use it, and Gator can maybe clean up a bit more.
EMP gonna be coming up, Sugar Free licking his chops looking for more, reflecting the barrage, self-destruct got 2 on the other side, and once more, it's that EMP self-destruct connection coming in where you just can't really get out of the way after an EMP if you time that well.
Yeah, so it costs a lot to do that combo, you have to say, using the EMP as well as the Diva ultimate. But it does not matter because you have the Nano Blade up for the next fight as well as the Sound Barrier, so LNL doing perfectly fine with these ultimate rotations.
Self-destruct moving in, Sugar Free gonna get the barrier, dives on even deeper, not intimidated at all. But now, Nano Boost comes in, here comes the blade, Sugar Free going straight for the supports, picks up 2, and he's looking for more, goes for the Tracer, not quite gonna complete it, but the damage was done there, Reinforcer now down to what could be the final fight.
Yeah, I think we look at this map and LNL are just outplaying Bi-Week at this point. Their dive is looking so good with the ultimate rotation. Sugar Free and Gator getting a ton of value. They don't have any ultimates up for this next fight, so this could be an opening for Bi-Week.
Yeah, Bi-Week can do here. Overtime's in progress. You got Hammond, has to give up his life. Waifu just spinning around going, please, someone do something with this. But Ajax gets the boot on the piece of Demon. Sugar Free dashing his way around. Pick off after pick off. That's going to be LNL with a statement here on the Garden. And I gotta say here, obviously there was a lot of good play here, whether it be Gator knocking people off, but Sugar Free got a blade on the very first fight.
I did.
Dominant, repeatedly. If you're on the other side, if you're a team dealing with a Genji that's doing this well, what do you do, if anything, to try and neutralize that?
It comes down a lot to the Winston, I have to say. Chrono Dota on that Winston, he has to be able to push this Genji away. He has to sit on Sugar Free pretty much permanently to make sure that Sugar Free can't stand in range to build up his Dragon Blade that quickly. He probably used a lot of right click with his Shuriken, of course, spamming out those Shurikens very fast, but then he needs to be close up, so it's on Chrono Dota on that Winston to make sure that Sugar Free just isn't allowed to be up that close.
Well, the one upside perhaps is that it will be a different setup here where you got goats coming your way, and of course this is a tanky setup here. Control Star Chrono Dota not gonna waste any time, swings the hammer directly on the other side. Dalton already low. Bi-Week though.
There's a Torbjorn on the field TP.
It is!
What?
And he's already got a kill on Gator. Leafa's still in it, and actually he's doing quite well.
I can't analyze TP, I don't know what's happening. They're swinging Torb on Control Center. What is this man doing? He's got most... I can't believe it. He's popping off.
It is the new Overload. It's not quite Molten Core, but no. Man, if it's not as intimidating.
Sorry, it's my World of Warcraft catching up to me in this then, so... But still, we're seeing we're actually seeing this LNL team win this fight, and they're going to push up as well, so maybe Torb wasn't the pick, CP.
We'll see. They're going to go back the other way. Leafa, he's getting real close to that new ultimate, of course, where you're going to be shooting out globs of molten slag, the new molten core, as it were.
Huge Shatter!
And, whoa, Shatter going to be knocking down 2. Byweek, though, the barrier. Everyone's still alive. They go back the other way. Barrier's still in progress as they're stuck in the grab. And now here comes the true molten core. Going to be spitting globs of fire back the other way. And Waifu going to explode for 3. So it wasn't really a Torb in the end. It was a self-destruct. Waifu finds a way through.
While certainly playing with Torbjorn in this composition, we're seeing a lot more particles on the field, I can tell you that much, CP. And it's interesting how this pitch actually works out for them. They used a lot of ultimates there. They're going to have the Graviton Surge for the next fight, and they have to use it in this choke early. Not going to be any Sound Barrier up for LNL as well.
You see the early charge coming in, grab out here from Jade. Ajax stuck in it, self-destruct back the other way, doesn't connect with anything. And meanwhile, I'm just mesmerized by this Torb here, Reinforced. Is this a new era?
It could be a new era. He does dash out or dish out a lot of damage, you should say, with his turret as well. So there certainly has the playmaking ability to fit into this Ghost composition. But I think that if you're LNL, you need to play a lot more aggressive and actually show that you have the better brawl.
Well, you see the overload coming in from using it to spam out targets. Chronodome, though, go down. Both Reinhardt's out of the fight, and that's a nano boost for Gita. Going back the other way, Dalton fighting on the Leafa, charging forward. When this character just charges at you, what do you do? As LNL's gonna swiftly retake the point.
And it's exactly what you need, right? I talked about how you have the better brawl composition, and so you have to play a lot more aggressive. You can't allow the Torbjorn to dish out that damage throughout the fight, because he has a lot of damage, of course, but when you're playing Ghosts like this, you have to be more aggressive. They're going to have the Graviton and the Earth Shatter up, so they have to speed boost into the team, I'd like to see here, into Byweek, and make plays happen.
See if they do just like Gator holding on to the Shatter, waiting for the time, and nice Shatter coming in. They put Chronodome in a bad situation, let Gator drop the hammer, and that's an easy team fight pickup there for LNL.
Exactly, and you save the Graviton Surge as well, so that's going to be up to use in the choke here. Byweek, they're catching up though. They have 4 or 5 ultimates coming into the next fight. Might even have all 6, and so they should be able to win this next fight coming up. It depends really on how LNL chooses to use their ultimates in this fight. If they're going to use them in the choke, if they're going to back out to the point. But there's a quick engagement with Devo.
Gets the Torbjorn there. Not got to worry about the multi-core coming on in. Graviton Surge up here as Byweek tries to turn the tables, even without the torque. Graviton moves in, self-destruct right after they take down Sugar Free. It's not as effective as they would have liked, but it still might be enough as they start turning on. But they have to get the point. They have to touch a point in time. And no, they're not able to get there.
It was actually a very good push from LNL because they distracted the enemy team far out, way beyond the point. So you have to give credit for LNL for that setup execution. But once again, you have to be disappointed not reaching the point in time.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing where time just kind of got away from them there. But of course, big plays coming up from Waifu. Set up. Wasn't even the Torb that was doing the bulk of the work there. So it's going to be LNL with a fairly quick 2-0 over Byweek. And I got to say, LNL certainly looking pretty strong here so far. It's been a team that has been on the rise.
Yeah, well, especially on that dive composition on Gardens, you have to give them credit. I think they outplayed Byweek by far. And then when it came down to Control Center, I'm not that happy about the Torb pick coming out of Byweek because I think they showed on Hollywood that they are very capable of playing the Ghost composition with Chronodota leading the charge. But instead, you opt for the Torbjorn pick. It changes up the dynamic of the comp a bit. You have better sustain in the fight, I have to say, because you have so much damage output. But you don't really have the same brawl, and that means Chronodota, he has to play a lot more passive, does not get a lot more value on the Reinhardt compared to Gator, which showed aggression, and it paid off for LNL.
Now, when you say brawl, let's delve a little bit deeper inside. You're just talking about the raw power of almost Defran-esque, let's go, dude, just like rolling into the other team where, look, I mean, if you have a team just running at you, you have to respect it, right? It's just, oh, this is happening. Whereas if you have a character like Torb, you know, to your point is that he's not quite as eager to dive into the fray as a tankier character would be. But, guys, we have a new thing here. We got some replays to take a look at, and we're going to break it on down.
Ooh, fancy replays. We're stepping up, and it's a huge shatter to start it off, CP.
Gator, of course, one of many great plays here. Leafa, just gonna drop the grab along the side where it just seems like, oh, just a grab around the side. That was still risky. There was a diva that could have eaten it at any time.
Yeah, of course. Now, I'm new to casting CP, of course. I'm doing a few mistakes, and I recognize that. But what I'm saying a lot of the time is that these ultimates are huge. And that's what you get with GOAT composition, because all these ultimates are huge all the time. And it's just the nature of the composition. So certainly on Hollywood, we saw a lot of big ultimates coming out from both teams.
Look, you know, just you have to sometimes pull out that thesaurus. You know, you don't always have to say huge, large, factual.
Massive.
Yeah, humongous, enormous. We can go through the entire list, but however you want to phrase it, you have ultimates here that were extracting maximum value.